Okay, happy weekend to everyone. Happy weekend. Come over, guys. Let's have a conversation. Good to see you guys. Okay. So before we start, if it's your first time to come across this channel, please do yourself a favor, subscribe. Make sure that you ring the bell so that every time we are live, you'll be notified and come and join us as a family of Zimbabwe. Together we can, and together we can fix this country, right? We can. All right, so you guys have seen the headline, breaking news. So that is Chamisa's demand for a fresh election, right? And then the ZIG, the ZIG, people are saying it failed before it even started. A lot of negative reviews on social media. I don't know if you guys have come across, some of them, but I will do you, an honor to actually play some of them here. We have to just hear what people are saying about these currents. All right, don't forget to like the live and make sure that we push algorithms so other people can also join us. I want to say shout out, and I'm so desperate to see who's going to be the first one. Ram, good to see you. Musingo James, shout out to Miss Kabasa, good to see you. Okay, I'm so glad that you guys are here. It's a beautiful Saturday. We're going to have a very thorough conversation today. Stephen, good to see you. There's Sylvester here. I want to shout out to you guys. Oh, and almost 100 people join immediately. I said rush and make sure that you like the live. Amutokos, it's good to see you. Okay, I want you to know that, guys, our situation in Zimbabwe is in layers. There is in layers. Stephen, good to see you. That's why it's a bit tricky, Gush and Putty, good to see you. Oh my God, so it's my mom said, Ruru, you're my daughter, good to see you. Thank you so much for the love. It means a lot. I appreciate you. Yeah, this is where we are today. I cannot, yo. I can't. All right, so breaking news, guys, very bad news indeed. You have seen what happened in Harare in town today. A building collapsed, and we heard that some people actually went home to be with the Lord. And I say to you guys, my condolences once again. But honestly, we must all agree to the fact that Zimbabwe needs to be revamped. This is why I've always been saying it's not about you being a politician. Because you're going to be driving your latest Mercedes Benz. You saw what happened today? And boom, a dilapidated building will fall on you and you're gone. Just like that. But when we speak about resolving issues in the country, some people think we're crazy. I'm not a politician, but I'm so desperate to actually see change in this country, just to see it functioning differently. You know what I mean? Seeing a better nation. I'm desperate. Because even President Emerson Mnangagwa have confirmed many times that there is corruption that really has ruined our cities. And here we are. We all are victims. I've told you last night, no one is safe. This is where we need to come together and begin to fix our country. So yeah, honestly, and badly maintained colonial era buildings are collapsing in Harare. 43 years of neglect is showing. This is the state of the nation tragic. And this is Alina posted that. And so Jairus also went on and said most of these buildings were built during the Cecil John Rhodes, Ian Smith's era. That's when these buildings were built. When our black government took over power in 1980, in what we know now that they deputed, so that they've duped the majority into believing that they could develop our country. This is what we are reaping now, and he was actually very upset. But I want to say once again, my condolences to those that have lost their family members, and to those that have been injured. I'm also going to pray for speedy recovery. But this is why I'm saying, let's fix the country, y'all. This country needs to be fixed. I can never stress on that enough. I can never stress on that enough. All right, so the RB governor, the RBZ governor, the newly appointed governor, is very confident in ZIG. He's confident. He said, it will never fall, not under his watch. Did you hear him say that? He said, not under my watch. This money can't fall. But to my surprise today, I don't know if you guys have seen it, that they were posting their breakfast meeting actually at this hotel, Rainbow Towers. And that breakfast meeting was also charged in Zim dollar. People were like, hold on, sir. You're confident, you're very confident of this money. And all of a sudden, you're still charging people in Zim dollar, in US dollars. What do you mean? And we saw within about an hour or so, they changed that flyer, and it's also now having ZIG on it. So let me just tell you what they are saying. So it's about 100 US dollars is equal to 1.356 ZIG. The currency that is backed by our own gold. So if you have 100 US dollars, you're going to be getting 1.356 ZIG. Okay, yeah. So at least now we're kind of having an idea of what this is all about. But honestly, it's like a vicious cycle of on and on and on. But let's hear him speaking about the currency, and he said he would defend this currency. Honestly, he's adamant. He said, I will defend this currency. And by the way, he has people saying he's got such an incredible resume. But something intriguing yesterday was also posted by Fadzia Mairi that he has been doing business actually with President Emerson Mnangagwa when there was a scandal that he was also dragged into. I'm talking about the newly appointed governor. So people are saying, okay, we will give him a bit of time, but his resume seems to be questionable. These are simply some of the articles that were shared yesterday on X. So take a listen.
We are going to ensure that at any one time, reserve money growth is contained within the limits of the growth in gold and foreign currency reserves that we have. We are also going to continue on the tight monetary policy stance that has been the hallmark of the central bank up until now. And above all, I don't believe in quasi-fiscal activities. It's not going to happen under my watch. My mandate, as spelled out in the Reserve Bank Act, is very clear, and I have no intention whatsoever to do other people's jobs. I'll do my job as central bank governor, as defined in the Reserve Bank Act. In that respect, we have moved all quasi-fiscal obligations that had been created, some not out of our making. I think the governor will tell you that we had a foreign exchange crisis and he had to do something to address that. In fact, he has a good term for that. He calls them quasi-foreign currency fiscal operations. But that is the past.
Hold on for me, please.
We are not going to be...
Sorry about that. Please forgive me. All right, so you've heard the Reserve Bank governor speaking about this currency. You heard him. He's very confident that the currency will stand. He also mentioned that he's going to defend the currency, even though people are saying we don't get it, but he's adamant that he's going to defend the currency. All right, so I want you to know that there's been a lot of conversations on social media today when people are saying no, they are sick and tired of these stories of today we are there, tomorrow the same old mantra of we came from this old currency. What do you call it? The same dollar. Now we are sitting with another currency as well, and they still say, "Oh no, we are positive about this currency." Are we not going back to the very same vicious cycle of confusion? We need a solution that lasts. I saw staunch supporters of ZANU-PF as well going nuts on social media. The other one was being a bit sarcastic, but I heard where she was going this evening when there was a live going on. Also because Professor Mugano, right? He was the one that was actually the spokesperson. They were speaking this evening, actually talking about where to from here. And again, still saying, I don't have no confidence in this money that they've released. It does not make no sense that we still stuck, but we should be having solutions moving forward. So one of supporters for ZANU-PF, that is Gugungule, she said, the government of my president, Emerson Mnangagwa, needs to respect us as a Zimbabwean people. Surely the continued use of the US dollar shows the government it lacks confident in the ZIG. Now the money team itself charges the event in USD. Why not in ZIG? Yeah, Prezi. Is the Shumba. We need to really come up with a solution than, some odd, and some odd drama. All right, and then now we're going to be looking at Nelson Chamisa's post that he sent out today in the morning, very early in the morning. I know he was addressing the currency at the same time also talking about the elections. We all know that we are in this predicament because of our elections. Everyone says there is no trust and confidence, Zimbabwean, economy because of these fraudulent elections. And you have seen the mess that's going down there in the country. Everybody knows, except the ones that want to cut corners or those that came to just loot. But it's genuine, authentic business. People always have questions. You also remember that people said Donkote wanted to open a company there, but it didn't work out because of the shortcuts that other people were interested in. And I also heard a lot of Zimbabwean people say they wanted to actually have businesses, but again, politicians, wanted to have, their way into their coffers. We also heard about this Starlink that we are busy still arguing today. Again, people saying we want Starlink, and they're also saying no, we are still discussing about Starlink. To my surprise, I also heard South Africans have their own podcast, and he mentioned that Elon Musk as well. He was willing to actually, Elon Musk is a South African, that by birth, yeah, of course. So he wanted to also sign up, but again, politicians again said to him, you need to go in and queue with other people so you can register. And the only thing is because they know, because they're much aware that if information can get to the grassroots, then all their tactics won't work. So again, Africa is very interesting. You're going to hear more as we get along. You're going to hear from Dr. Brian Kagore as well. Again, harnessing on the same issue. And he's a Zimbabwean born, and his resume also once been a part and parcel of MDC leadership. Again, still looking into the mess that's going down in Zimbabwe and stretches to also other countries here in Africa. And also Eddie Cross, don't forget Eddie Cross, he also said a lot. He's a mouthful talking about why we're having such a mess at the Reserve Bank. You hear him also speaking. So Nelson Chamisa said Zimbabwe needs a political change, not a currency change. A currency is a bond of trust and confidence. A currency is not a currency without confidence and value. Money represents a collective trust in the stability and the reliability of the government. Its value is derived from the amalgamation of this confidence. Instead of introducing a structured currency, we need a conversation that produces a citizens-backed structured political change in a new government. Again, still talking about the transitional government. That's what maybe he's referring to. If he's talking about a conversation, he's simply referring to the same thing. He said, born not by another name will not fix our challenges. A currency is a bundle of confidence. A confidence is a product of good politics and good leadership. Currency change has failed before, and it surely will fail again. All this because of broken politics, disputed elections, and contested national processes. In recent years, all these currencies failed because of bad politics. Zim dollar, the US dollar, bond notes, RTGS, and also the latest one, gold coins, ZIG that we're having right now. It is given that the new currency will fail again because of bad politics. Currency reforms will not guarantee currency stability, but good politics will lay the foundation for currency stability. Zimbabwe needs a political and democratic leadership change, not a currency change. No amount of currency change will pivot the nation into prosperity and boom. The citizens have zero confidence in the leader of the country. Once the citizens lose confidence in an administration, they automatically lose confidence in all that it stands for or represents. Nothing short of a total change and seeking the face of our God will rescue the nation's fortunes, which I agree. Again, principles reign supreme. I'm adamant on that. I can tell you, no one has ever succeeded while they cut corners. It's a principle. Notwithstanding that you can be a leader from a political circle, you can be a leader at home. No family can ever stand if people are cutting corners. No family can ever stand if a man can come home whenever he wants to. He can come back after a week. Or over the weekend, you can sleep somewhere and come back. It doesn't work. If you want polygamy, come clean. It's a principle. But if you think you can cut corners and get away with it, it will show by dysfunctionality, toxicity, hatred, unnecessary conflicts. We can see it live in our nation today. Unnecessary conflicts. But you know what excites me? And one thing I'll tell you about principles, you know what they do? They will let you push yourself, and do no one else trust you. Because I can see even the people who have been supporting ZANU-PF are like, hold on, this can't be. And I've been praying for the same time that I was praying that this time should arrive. When we are looking into each other and say, no, truth has to stand because everyone is burning. You know what I mean? When you support wrong, everyone is burning, and God does allow it for a reason. Because you have been protecting wrong things when they happen in the city. Like I told you, you saw something fail today in the country. People hurt. Until we realize that there will be consequences that everyone suffer if we don't resolve our issues. As a matter of fact, this is simply the beginning. If we carry on with this nonsense that we are doing now, it's going to be worse. We need to come together and have a conversation. Dialogue is needed, I'm telling you. That may be the reason why God would never allow people from the outside to interfere. You know why? Until we look at each other and say, no, there must be a solution here. If a couple is having challenges in their marriage, they don't expect relatives to resolve them, because at the end, you have to take responsibility. You can visit any therapist in town, but they're all going to give you work to go and do yourself to fix that marriage. No therapists ever say, come here, sit around, guys, I pray for you. Now when you go back, everything's going to be working. No, you're still going to be given work to do, changes to make, even when you don't feel like it, until things work. That's how it works. We have to look at each other and resolve our issues. No one else will help us. But it's very important for us to have a foundation to understand why we are in this mess. I told you our challenges are in layers. Yes, they're in layers. But you know what's funny? The people on the top here knows exactly what's going on. And I can't wait for a day they're going to come and say, guys, we need to sort our mess. We acknowledge that we have ruined things, and we want to apologize and let's restart. And I'm a firm believer that no one, absolutely no one is perfect, right? We all have fallen short. But it's important to acknowledge that I have done wrong, I can fix it. And you know, God is faithful. He'll give you the grace, and He's also going to change people's hearts to accept you as a brother. But unfortunately, some are adamant because they think that they can get away with things. No, it doesn't work like that. I've also said yesterday, I'm still a firm believer that there is what we call Neo-colonialism. And one thing about white people, because I'm a lover, and I'm not a racist, I love white people. As a matter of fact, my clients, most of them, like maybe 80% are white people. Yes, 80%. I'm a lover. But one thing I'll tell you about that community is they're very united. If there can be something mixing here, when there are two white people and the one black, and the white person have taken it, they'll say it's a black person. You know why? Because they protect their own. There's something about their culture. There's that, you call it a supremacy, but no, they understand love and support for one another, which some of us black people, we do not have. I do not think that they just were happy when the land was grabbed, in my opinion. They're also not happy with so many things that happen in the country. And they're like, no way, we'll retaliate. In my opinion, because if a direct cross is confirming today that white people have an upper hand in some of these so-called billionaires today, and that have been robbed in so many corruption stories in the country, financial flows, they have been implicated. What is that supposed to tell you? All right, so let's take a listen to Eddie Cross. I love my people so much. I love my brothers and sisters, and I know together we can. Take a listen.
Yes, and you and then Minister Chris Mchangwa were reported to be fighting with Kudeta Gwe over the pipeline. Can you shed light on that?
I'm scared of this guy. You know about that? Yeah. Oh, that's a long story. Okay. So during the GNU, we had a very, very good Minister of Energy, MDC. I thought he was the best minister in government. And he decided, because we had a lot of corruption in fuel at that stage, and he liquidated Noxon, which was totally corrupt, had big debts, and formed NOIC and Petrotrade. And when he formed NOIC, this National Oil Infrastructure Company, that company took over the pipeline from Mutare to Harare. And that pipeline, which goes down to Beira, was moving about 4 million litres of fuel a day. Neighbouring states said to the minister, why can't you supply us with fuel? Botswana, Zambia, Congo. So he contacted me and he said, Eddie, can you look for a partner who might build a second pipeline? So I said, sure we can. So we then negotiated with the Mining, Oil and Gas Company of South Africa for them to build a second pipeline from Beira to Harare on the same basis we did the original one back in 1987. I built the original one in 87 when I was chief executive of the Beira Corridor Group. When we did that, we negotiated the deal, and then 2013 came, and MDC lost power. So the Minister of Energy changed, and we had a ZANU-PF Minister of Energy. He immediately took a bribe from the industry. And as a result of the bribe, he gave them control on the pipeline. Now, the guys who then controlled the pipeline, one of their directors was Kuda Tagwarai. And they recognized the new pipeline would be a threat to the old pipeline because our pipeline would be cheaper to operate. It's bigger, okay? And they opposed it. So for 10 years, I fought Kuda. Not this way, but metaphorically. Saw ministers chase people and pushed and so on. And it wasn't until Emerson became president in 2017. And he didn't do it immediately, he did it in 2019. He called me in and he said, I want to revive the second pipeline. And he appointed Dan Mackenzie Ngube, who's an engineer, as chairman of NOIC, and instructed him to take the pipeline back from Tagwarai, which he did in 2019. And Tagwarai was then instructed, you get out of the fuel business. We don't want you in there anymore. And of course, Tagwarai is close to Mr. the President. And he did that.
Right.
And I was then told, get on with the pipeline. So we are now in the position where we're waiting for Mozambique to approve their side of the pipeline. When that happens, we'll start building it.
Are you saying Kuda Tagwarai is now out of the fuel business?
Completely. And that's the president's decision. Well, you know what he's doing now. You know, Kuda was Kuvimba. He took all the money that he got from the fuel business, all the disposal of his sales and disposing of the pipe, putting the pipeline back to NOIC, because he had 50% of the pipeline shares. And NOIC bought him out. He then a lot of money. He bought properties and put it into Kuvimba. Now Kuvimba has been taken over by the National Wealth Fund. And Kuda remains with his commercial and banking interests.
Why is this happening? Is this politics? Is this pure business decision? What is it?
Good question.
Can you separate business from politics?
You tell me. I'm
No.
just a journalist.
You can't. You can't. Not at that level. These are big deals. These are big deals. And there's no doubt about it that Mugabe benefited very substantially from Kuda's activities. Very substantially.
And this current...
I've made it very clear to you why I always want to talk about Kuda is because Kuda is a Christian. I mean, I've seen him talking in the church. I've seen him preaching in the church. And the people from the SG are saying that he's an elder. And for that reason, because I'm a Christian, you know, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Some of the things that happen don't make sense to me. Like, especially when you're a Christian. You know what I mean? And, you know, it doesn't make sense, considering the suffering of our people. And again, you're a leader, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. This is why I've always been talking even about, you know, my brother as well, you know, Makandiwa, because I've known Makandiwa for years. I knew him when he was still a young boy at the Bible school, you know, at Living Waters Bible College. I was from the AFM church, so pretty much I know these guys very well. So that's why I'm like, you know, your works, your hands, and what you preach don't align, and that's scary. That scares me a lot. And I'm disappointed with the church. I'm not gonna lie, extremely disappointed with the church more than anything else. Maybe the church is no longer the church; it's simply a business. Because the way people are suffering in Zimbabwe, I don't even know how you can even stand in the church. And you heard last time Pudata Gure talking that because you guys don't have money, that's why you always criticize those that you have money. You know what I mean? You heard them speaking. And these are people who are saying they're churchy people. And the Jesus Christ that we follow is modeling Jesus Christ is very humble, was humble and is still humble because he's still young. He's a father, a giver, compassionate. But so many of these guys are not compassionate. They get to the church, they see people suffering. Some come, they don't even have no food to eat, and they say, pray for me, pastor, and they pray knowing very well the source of their problems, that their hands are all over the place. You can hear Kudata Grace very close, it is confirming with the president, Emerson Mnangagwa, was also very close again to Robert Mugabe. You can hear. So now when the time that, SB Moy was talking, during the time of the coup, 2017, he mentioned that we were getting rid of, corrupt people, thieves. Remember? We are getting rid of thugs. Now we are worse than the way that we were, but some of the people that we get rid of, they're in exile. They're not even in Zimbabwe. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, who is really the real thug here? Who are the real thugs that were being removed? And did they come back in the country? Because the majority of them, I know, they're in exile. We look at my brother Kasukure. We look at Dr. Walter Muzambi. We also have Jonathan Moyo, who always, barking from Kenya. I'm just talking about my brothers. They're not in the country. So who are these criminals that they were referring to? These are the questions that everyone is asking. Who are the criminals?
Is not benefiting from Kuda's activities.
The whole system has been dismantled.
But if you ask a person on the street, you'd hear the name Queen Bee. You'd hear that.
That's no longer true.
You'd hear the.
He's become extremely rich. Look, Kuda is extremely bright. It wasn't that he was penniless when he went into this operation. It wasn't his political connections that made him rich. He owned a company, a fuel company, one of the bigger ones, and then the Trafigura guys bought him out, but made him a director, and then Trafigura trebled the size of the business because they are the third largest trading company in the world. So it was under Trafigura that he made very, very substantial money. And he a very wealthy man. He's still a billionaire. He's a billionaire, but it's his own money.
There was a.
This is not like Wicknell. This is not the same. He's not in the same category as Wicknell. This guy has made his own money. He's an extremely bright guy.
What are the parallels between Kudata Gwire and Wicknell, if you might share?
There are a few white guys.
Okay, I want you to put that on record. There are put that on record. There are few white people that he's working with. Did you hear that correctly? There are few white guys. And I repeat, does that sound like a new colonialism? He's working with few white guys. I don't know who they are, but they are there. You also remember Radland, what's his name? Yeah. Ian as well, during the time of Gold Mafia. I see Chinese today, they're singing Shona songs, wearing Razan PF regalia. And again, China is being accused of meddling in Indian politics as we speak. They've been caught via Microsoft meddling in Indian politics because they have some interest in India.
Guys on which side?
They're businessmen, and they've made a lot of money. I mean, take ZIG Kudanaris. ZIG is now, I don't know, ZIG's business is now, what, $4 billion? He's the biggest businessman in Zimbabwe. He's massive. He's handling tens of billions of dollars a day.
Oh, wow.
Kuda, at least ZIG. ZIG is now operating throughout Africa.
Wow.
These are our success stories.
Yeah. But I want to know why you say Kuda and Wicknell are not in the same league.
Wicknell is just a nasty, corrupt businessman. I mean, playing games. I don't know where he makes his money. There's no visible sign. But there's lots of people in Zimbabwe who have no visible signs of business activity, don't employ anybody, but they're rich.
All right, you heard him. There are so many people in Zimbabwe who are rich, but you can't trace their monies. But there's something that he spoke that really touched me when he was talking about the mining industry. He was saying that that's a very dangerous zone. And we're going to look at that one separately because when he mentioned about people even getting killed in those areas, that can show me that no, Zimbabwe is becoming very dangerous. I've known Zimbabwe being this sweet country where people loved each other, you know, protecting, believe. You know, when we used to share, like eating together, sitting on the floor, sharing, you know, from one plate. But here we are today. It's chaos everywhere. Chaos. It's all about me, 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 me. You know, I'm just going to be called Binga. And so people are fighting with Sheki, the MP for Chegutu, when he was talking about, no, people, you'd always question where we're getting our monies, you know. He was next to the chopper. And people said, first and foremost, how did you get there? Because someone was recalled. So you should question how you got there. And do you remember when Makantiwa in the church was hailing, shaking the church? These people are connected. It's a syndicate of boys, that is the big boys, but yo, check their lifestyle. Because the Bible is clear. We shall know you by your works. Not what you say, not how you dress, the house you stay, how you look, by your works. Because honestly, I get disgusted being around evil people. It disgusts me. I don't think if I can even last even for a day. But you ask yourself, how you mingling, dingling? During the day, you are like, praise the Lord. In the night, you're signing deals behind the church. It's sad. But it's a truth. It is sad. Honestly, it's very sad. But you heard Eddie Cross make it clear. Because Kudata Gure is working with white people. That's why he's successful. And he's always, every day he's holding like tens and thousands of US dollars. Billions of US dollars per day. Because he's running businesses. Now I've asked you a question. Why can't we have a solution in the country? Have our own currency. When you hear all these numbers that they're speaking about, and when you look at the poverty in the country, when you look at all the corruption that is happening, because I saw yesterday, the Newsday reported that one guy, a whistleblower, who blowed about the corruption that was going on in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, he is fearing for his life. He's seeking for security right now because people wants to eliminate him because he spoke truth. Thus, you need to start asking yourself questions. Where are we going? I think very soon we're going to be like South Africa. You whistleblow, they will eliminate you. The thugs will eliminate you. That's the bottom line. That's where we are heading. Now we need to start asking ourselves questions. Is that going to be the Zimbabwe that we want? Only God knows. We need to pray for divine intervention because we're in trouble. We're definitely in trouble. Now, Professor Giptim Gano decided to give people a bit of a light when it comes to this ZIG money. But again, also still begging and say, yo, we have been here when the Zim dollar, I'm talking about our Zim dollar, you know, the red $20 and the $5 that was green and $100, you know, the month that really was the real money that we had, the day that it crashed. He said from that time, it's 26 years down the line, we don't have a currency. You know why? Again, I'm going to repeat this statement. Neo-colonialism that people are not seeing. And some of our brothers think, oh my God, we are loved by black people. No, you're not. By white people. No, you're not. The agenda is very clear. To make sure you are white and you have nothing. Because we need to retaliate. Now I said, fellow citizens, please come here. The genesis of currency crisis started on 14th November 1997 when the ZW crashed, the Black Friday that people still remember. More than 26 years down the line, we have hip-hopped from one currency to another as follows. From Zimbabwe, the currency were adopted as at independency to USD in 2009, bond in 2016, RTGS in 2019 to February. Then in 2019 to June, which was this latest money that we had. And then USD in 2020. Now we are now moving to ZIG. At each and every point when these currencies were introduced, we witnessed massive disagreements clearly drawn on political lines and serious disregard of the experts' view. Like now, we are telling you that ZIG will fail dismally, and you are busy defending a currency which was dead before it was announced. You can hear, it's dead already before even been announced. This is what economists are saying. It's Professor Gift Mugano. He says, so we haven't learned anything in the last 26 years currency crisis. What is going on educated people? The educated people, Zimbabweans, right? The educated community. Now let me tell you, ignore advice at your own peril. We will clock 50 years with this problem if we don't want to give us the opportunity to tell you what works and what doesn't work. If anyone thinks that you can build your understanding on economics on social media and want to argue with some of us who study the subject to the end, you are misleading yourself. Likewise, if you think that the simplified economics we share here and other platforms so that we can have a conversation with the public is the depth which we have, and you warm your chair to argue with us under the influence of the demon of propaganda. Again, a demon. I love the statement demon. It's a satanic demon of lying to people, deceiving people. I feel sorry for you. We want a functioning currency so that we can generate savings, investments, pensions, and build a prosperous economy for all. Let us not be selfish to ourselves. Haven't we suffered enough? Have a Sabbath day. Haven't we suffered enough, Zimbabweans? Haven't we? I said, haven't we suffered enough? Haven't we suffered enough, y'all? Brothers and sisters, haven't we suffered enough? To actually say, let's come together and have a solution. But like I said, there is, and I think I want to say shout out to Kandoro. You know Kandoro, that my brother, what does he do? He's a comedian, you know him. But now he's running a podcast called Back and Forth. Incredible guy. You can also follow him on TikTok, YouTube channel as well. He's got a YouTube channel, incredible. He said this statement, and I quote, that when Wikinos started dishing out cars, he said, this is not Wikinos money. It's definitely ZANU-PF that is sending Wikinos to give, even the money he gave at the church is not Wikinos money. Let's make it very clear. The cars he said he's buying, it's not. It's not. Don't forget some people are sanctioned. Don't forget that, right? Yeah. So if you are sanctioned, okay, of course. Yeah. He said it's not ZANU-PF's money. It's definitely, it's not Wikinos money, but rather ZANU-PF's money. And he also said they are trying to build a culture where a dependency syndrome culture. They said you will see people lining up, begging to do their dirty work. You've seen many begging online. My heart breaks. The last time I checked, men should be protecting women and build homes, raising incredible, strong families. But no, our men, most of us Zimbabwean men today, they're like vegetables. You know why? Because of dirty politics. Politicians are manipulating and abusing people. It's a fact. Once been known being a strong family. I came from a family where I used to see my dad waking up at 4 a.m. going to work. My dad, incredible man. Absolutely amazing man. I saw him. That's why I believe in work. Because I saw my daddy waking up every day. He was working for Zimbabwe Leaf Tobacco, my daddy. We used to eat McCain cake. It's McCain cake from Lobels. You know, that's that yellow bread, the real canned cakes, you know. So I know. I come from a father who was working. It was a legacy for my father. And now that's why I believe in work. I don't believe in selling my body. I work. Right? What I'm trying to say is they're eliminating a culture of hard work and creating a culture of begging. Dependency syndrome is not godly. It is ungodly because God created us to work. He said you work and then you earn. No, these ones are assassinating a culture of work so you can beg them. That is ungodly. They're working anti-clockwise and you can't expect a nation to prosper because whatever we're doing is anti-God. We are violating principles of hard work. I don't know what's going on. Again, don't forget that statement, Neo-colonialism. You must never forget that statement that I'm saying. It's a very strong statement. And people are not seeing it. We are going to be left with nothing in that country. Makomba, check what's going on. About 3 days ago, I saw Themba Mliswa sharing a picture and say, guys, look what the Chinese are doing. But who's going to close them? We are slaves. The last time I checked, we said we took away our land and, we let the West people live. Oh, fair play. We took our land from the people okay, fair play. But does that make sense, guys, that our brothers and sisters are leaving the same land that we took away from and they're following these people that we chase away to go in and clean their shoes and their feet? Can we start asking ourselves, what on earth is really going on? These things are spiritual, y'all. Life is spiritual. You must never forget. So, who can even explain it better that like my brother did, Brian Kagoro. When he was attending the summit in Rwanda, which was an incredible summit, the man is a box office. This one makes me wonder, like honestly, it makes me wonder. Zimbabwe is incredible men and women. I'm talking of great minds, amazing people that we can turn that country at the twinkling of an eye. Like just like that. But you ask yourself why? I told you we are operating anti-clockwise. The moment we eliminate the principles that govern life, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Greedy is anti-God. Selfishness is ungodly. Evil is ungodly. Killing for anything is ungodly. Hating someone for nothing is ungodly. Looting everything and let the poor go to bed with empty stomachs is ungodly. And you can never expect the blessing of God. It doesn't work like that. As a matter of fact, even those that are collecting, all of us, we are shackled. Because when you're collecting and never have enough, it shows that you don't even understand that life is not about collecting. Life is about living. Majority are not living. Every day you're not living. Collecting is not enough. You must understand that you need to live. So let's see Brent Kagoro. Actually, he's very good at make sure that he articulates it so well. So you understand why we are in this mess. It's because some of our people think by working with the wise people, it shows that you are successful. That poverty mentality. Wise people are good at creating wealth because they know it's generational wealth. They believe in teaching their children to work, but now our people is giving kids money. That's not wealth. That's why the Bible says that a great father will leave inheritance for his great-grandchildren. That's understanding. That's wisdom. You teach your children to work, and they teach their kids to work. You pass the baton of work after work because it's a principle. You can't expect to just have things that you don't work for. So he's articulating so well so that you understand why we are in this mess in Africa. And to be specific, because Kagoro is a Zimbabwean. He faced the regime before. He was part of MDC. He saw how brutal some of our brothers are. He went through a lot. Remember when they bombed the news, I think that was their radio station? You remember that? Don't forget too easily. It's sad. But you did it incredibly well. Incredibly well.
We ourselves, even our thieves, are not patriotic. When they invest in Europe, they don't believe the minister. I think the most fundamental challenge is not white supremacy. It's black inferiority and the abiding appetite amongst the black elite to function on the basis of white embrace. Number one. If we ourselves, even our thieves, are not patriotic, when they steal from Africa, they invest in Europe, they don't believe. The minister said, fix our own government, get a governance system. The people in charge of governance systems steal and invest elsewhere as an indictment or an affirmation of their own incompetence and incapacity. Mm-hmm. But the second bit is that I think both His Excellency Musa Faki, Professor Lumumba, and the minister indicated, when you grow a disconnect between the people who give you legitimacy, who are the ultimate resource for the transformation of any nation, when you grow a disconnect between your culture, Amilcar Cabral said, every revolution is first a cultural revolution. A people must believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. That way they're able to produce both citizens and leaders who are not only patriotic and competent, but that are future focused and that are regenerative. Unfortunately for us, we have constantly killed three forms of assets. First asset, we kill our babies and our young people by never exposing them. And Rwanda is an exception to this, to what it means to govern and what it means to negotiate, what it means to compete. Number two, in all our countries, anybody, the age group of the people sitting at this table, when you are out of government, you are finished. The state has absolutely no use of the experience, the expertise, and the resources. We are constantly going elsewhere to look for experts that we either have in the diaspora or we have in our countries. The inability to build, retain, use our own local expertise and experience. The third is that we have created everything to be so leader-centric that most of our citizens either wait for God or wait for the leader or wait for foreigners. And the day must come in Africa where Pan-Africanism is Pan-Africanism of the people. No matter how brilliant institutions are, continental or regional, as long as they are not nourished by the ideas of African intellectuals, African artists and activists. But there is hope. Many of you may not see it as hope. The dominance of Afrobeat and Afropop in the world today, sending a message. If that can be used as a vehicle of cultural regeneration, if what the young people have been able to do with tech can be used as a way of reimagining, then what we're talking about as a phenomenon will end. The third is that we can't keep sending all our people. I know that it's maybe brain gain for some people. We can't keep sending all our young people to Europe, to America, and elsewhere without creating pathways back. Why? Frantz Fanon said they realized that the empire or the center came and took the best from amongst us and took them to their best institutions, and they emptied them of their own culture and their own sense of being, and they filled them with ideas of how to be good Europeans and Americans. And when they returned, their kith and kin realized that their children had not come back. What had come back were echoes of the empire. You and I, having had the opportunities to serve outside our continent, when we return, we are not trying to establish little Europe's, little France, little America. There must be an authentic way. That's why Rwanda's revolution is not only leadership, it is homegrown solutions, not for Rwanda only, but for the whole world, not just for Africa. We cannot assert ourselves culturally, intellectually, spiritually, as long as we are leprous and dependent. We do not, and we have not.
You can hear. We can't. And I'm telling you today, there was someone who said a tweet that really touched my heart. I don't know if you guys have seen that in our parliament we've got a lot of old people. Did you notice that? And I'm saying this respectfully, honestly, because at that age, I'm 41 years old, honestly. Right now, I'm thinking about where am I going to be when I turn 50? Where am I going to be when I'm 55? I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? Around 55, 60, somewhere there. I want to be going to schools and help young people, mentor these young people and show them the path and teach them. I don't want to be stuck in a place like in parliament doing what? What am I going to be doing there? You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer that if you want to be in parliament like right now, in your 40s, 50s, maybe somewhere there's skis. No, leave that one. Go somewhere, give other people a chance, young people. But she wrote a tweet that really touched my heart. She said, forgive me if I sound discriminatory. Why would someone who still be a civil servant at this age? Why haven't they resigned, do their farming work, wake up, look at the nature and enjoy stress-free, less pushy world? Where do people go wrong in life to fail to prepare for this age? And this is a ZANU-PF supporter asking questions. Why are we having such old kadayas in parliament? What are we? And yeah, let me say this. This is not out of hatred. Honestly, under normal circumstances, you should be winding down. Because very soon you go home to be with the Father. This place is not a home, yo. I'm just saying, go home and wind down. Relax so that when God comes to take you, you're at peace. Do you know what I'm saying? You're at peace. See your grandchildren. Guys, there's more to life than just collecting. There's more to life sitting home and just enjoy the little that you have. Drinking your coffee, looking into nature. Zimbabwe is beautiful. So on my computer, I recently kind of upgrading my Mac and so now I've got a very beautiful wallpaper. So it's a video that shows this beautiful nature. Nature green, when there's the soil smelling so good, and and the mountains are green, and I started crying looking at those pictures. I was like, snap, I miss home, y'all. Like, I remember that, like, it's so painful. You know what I mean? It's like there's just something about home, yo. So I'm asking, what are you doing, elders? Go home to the farms. We had access to have farms. Go home. Look at your grandchildren. Kiss them for the last time. You never know. Love your families. That's what life is about. It's not about collecting and collecting. Until when? Something about family, yo. Our elders need to go home and rest. Like I said, winding down, preparing for Yahweh to come, because it's going to come. Yes, your days are numbered. You're going to go home. Upstairs there in heaven. This place is not a home. Don't be too attached to anything. No, it's not a home. It's sad. Let's give young people a chance. This is why you remember the last time when there was these discussions around Tendai Biti, Oshmengume, and Chamisa. Do you remember what I said? I said, I have so much respect for Professor Oshmengume. I have so much respect for Tendai Biti. Incredible. These guys are attorneys. Besides being attorneys, they've really been served in Zimbabwe, incredibly so. But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to say, I'm just going to consult, or I'm going to be mentoring young people. Because if we keep the old people, and then what are we going to do with the young? Let's mix them. Let the young people get an opportunity to learn, so that at least we are not having a deficit of leadership. That's success. That's growth. But it happens in Zimbabwe where people can't hold on because they don't have jobs. I remember that there was something that was posted about yesterday, actually on X. I remember it was it's a Zimbabwean paper actually. This guy worked there for years. I don't know how many years, there were many years for real. And he was walking away with no package. Very heartbreaking. No package, absolutely no package. And I remember people say this is sad. He's been working 4 years, literally decades, but he's going home with nothing. That's why we are saying let's fix the economy, because most of people are going to go home with nothing. When we are talking like this, we are not joking. We are desperate and really, really, really pained by what's going on in the country. People need to, remember, people lost their pensions. Again, there are some people who thought they could get away with it. You are not getting away with the mamas and daddies. Hey, if you took the money for the poor, God is coming for you. You have your day. Your day is coming. You're going to pay it heavily. Unfortunately, if you don't, your children will. That's how it works. You sow evil, you're going to reap evil. It's just a matter of time. But let's fix our nation. It needs to be fixed. We have to fix this country. Very important. We must never take that for granted. We must fix this country. It must be fixed. By all means, it has to be fixed.
Happens except it is in the interest and the propagation of the political, economic, social, cultural, racial, and other strategic interests of those who have power. But there are direct consequences, and have been for Africa, which are chaos and instability, retarded development, internationalization of conflicts, regional instability, destruction of cultural and other heritage, as we saw in Timbuktu, destruction of state institutions and public services, warlordism and violent extremism, as we've seen in the Horn and in the Sahel, collapse of the formal economy, and debt, poverty, and inequality, sexual and gender-based violence, and the pillage of our economies. Now, if we imagine in this framing that these are what we're dealing with, what are those channels of transmission? I want to suggest to you, Chair, that the first transmission of interference is an incompetent, corrupt, and ideologically unclear leadership. The second is a structure in the bureaucracy of government and administration that is beholden to the white gaze or to external gaze. Within the public administration, you harvest intelligence and you harvest division. The third is religion, as you rightly said. Religion, and it's not just Christianity. We have seen the competition for different sects of Islam in the Horn, in the Mediterranean. And it's not just religion, it's NGOs, international and national. Not just those, but churches as well. And I'm talking about these as institutions. But ultimately, Steve Biko described the vector of interference. He says the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. If you do not control what you educate if you do not control what you communicate, if you do not control your narrative, you develop what we've seen, a disconnect between the leadership and the citizenry, a disconnect between the old and the young,
Right.
a disconnect between the analog generation that has power and the virtual generation that is unemployed. A disconnect that is easy to exploit. The future of this intervention, Chair, data and the digital platforms will define the most potent weapon in interference. You do not need to do it physically, it will be done remotely. And lastly, Chair, I want to suggest to you the most
Now you can hear, you can see the consequences. You had poverty, fights, unnecessary fights. But again, boils down to the fact that people think if they can work with a certain race, not knowing, don't know, it's very strategic and intentional. Once people don't lose here, I'm telling you fact, they do not lose. You pay for it. You mess up with them, they'll come after you indirectly. And they do not lose. They don't. So some of our brothers think, oh my God, I'm loved. I don't think so. It's intentional. You can see the mess, the chaos, all the billions that are there talking about. Zimbabweans don't even see a cent. You do remember last time when that was Muchangwa? Muchangwa was even confronted by a young woman who said to him, sir, you talk about billions and billions that you are running with external guys. You even want to build airports for some of these guys you're saying is a billionaire, so and so. But the billionaire you're talking about, the woman or a father in the grassroots don't even have a $5 in their pocket. That's what happens. It's called neo-colonialism. It's very smart. Most of these revolutionary parties are being funded by white people. Even though they, don't forget, Chamisa has always been accused of selling the country. Whenever he's standing with the white person, oh, he's selling the nation. You remember, you're selling your calling sanctions. It's a game. Capturing your minds. Don't forget Herbert Chitepo's School of Ideology. Just don't forget how it has ripped young people's understanding. They're just fighting. Social media people are just fighting. They can't even have a proper conversation. This is why we are creating all these platforms and say, guys, let's communicate. Let's converse properly. Let's not attack each other, but rather communicate. Say your views. And can I say this? They are reading all your comments. You'll be shocked. If you want to know, did you hear what the new governor said when he was presenting, or when he was busy reading his statement? Did you hear what he said? He said after people complained on X, what was he referring to? Twitter. Twitter is like that hub. The moment something happens, people are in to comment immediately. And there's a lot of things going on today as I'm speaking. I can see a letter that has been sent, like literally the entire statement has been sent by Fadze Mayer. As a matter of fact, shout out to Fadze. Fadze has been such an instrument on X. Remember, she resigned out of parliament. She said, nope, I can't be in the midst of this chaos. I agree with you. I was not also going to function around such toxicity. I want to function where there's order. Screaming and shouting, abusing each other unnecessarily. That's not me. I was not going to also just pack my bags and say goodbye. I don't have time for this. You're simply wasting my time. You know what I mean? She really has been such an instrument. So I want to read some of the comments that people are passing as far as ZIG is concerned. So she said, "Dear Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe," so she's writing to the newly appointed Reserve Bank governor. She's saying, "Please hire a comms team at ASAP. You need to hire a few people, commissioners, immediately." Said part of fostering confidence is having timely, reliable, and accessible means of informing the public in advance of key developments. Use official RBZ channels for updates. Don't bury key information in a random link. Don't let polarizing social media trolls be faced with important news. Your sensitization efforts has been inadequate. The public are confused day one of the currency that you said would come into effect immediately, and banks, payment platforms, mobile networks, and businesses are a flurry of confusion. You need to step up. Use all languages, make adverts, address stakeholders, get a social media manager. Remember that over 61% of population live in rural areas. Persons with disabilities must also be catered for, include everyone. Make sure all addresses by the governor and live streamed on your channels and key news houses. Make sure your presentations are also aired on the public broadcaster and on radio. Use infographics. Most people won't read 100 pages like I. Show me, just give me, you know what I mean? Summarize it. We good, Okay, so summarize your key points in simple lay language that ordinary people understand. Avoid jargon in public communication. Use technology. Set up a WhatsApp bot to address frequently asked questions. Give updates. Give access to key documents and legislation. Don't be defensive. Most people are curious and have questions. Respond to concerns. Don't avoid or gaslight. Set up professional platforms for engagement. Manage your optics. It's not a good luck to have the governor's face speaking in engagement charged in USD when it's meant to explain and promote a new currency, which I find it weird. You can't be talking about a latest currency that you want to promote, which is ZIG. You are saying you're confidently that it's going to succeed. At the same time, you're being seen charging in USD. The people are like, what's there? What's going on? Believe in your currency by using it. And this just reminded me of Themba Mliso. Do you remember when he was in Parliament and he asked me some and everyone in the finance to actually open, to empty their pockets? He said, I wanted to see if you guys have got bond notes, because you're forcing everyone to use bond notes, but you're not using them. That is wrong. Wrong. I said, be inclusive. Charging 100 USD to unpack a monetary policy statement that has wide ramifications for every person, rich or poor, is not a good luck. Take explanations to the public. Avoid ambush. Give fair notice. Engage stakeholders before making a policy. Get feedback on realistic timelines for implementation so that you are changing timeframes a day after announcement. All the best. So people are trying to assist the new Reserve Bank. And let me just say, Zimbabweans are incredible people because they share information really freely. But unfortunately, we always have those people who are so good at trying to destroy truth. And by the way, I want to say to Varakashi brothers of mine that I love, those machinations of ZANU-PF who always have a tendency of gaslighting online. We don't want gaslighting right now. We don't need that. We want to move forward, please. Stop my drama. I know y'all got phones recently. You got all the latest phones, y'all got phones that you were busy thinking online, the Samsungs. Don't use those Samsungs to do nonsense. We mean business here. This money that the Reserve Bank governor have dropped, it should work. But don't be the hurdle. Stop dropping toxicity. You know what I mean? We need to give the governor a chance. He's positive about this money and we are supporting him. But don't send toxicity. Okay, Zimbabweans are fed up. They just want to move forward. By all means, we're begging you. All right, I'm going to read another comment as well. A lot of people are saying so much as far as this issue of our latest currency is concerned. People are saying so much. And Themba Mliso said, just arrived in the country, because remember he has been appointed. He was also he was voted being I think the chairman in he said is it Africa, if I'm not mistaken. No, is it actually in SADC, which I was saying, okay, because we know Themba Mliso is a mouthful. I just hope he's going to be doing a good job for us there. He's also saying just arrived in the country, went to collect money from the bank, and surprise, I'm told that systems are down. Are systems really down, or they are changing to the new currency? Why not advise clients prior to that? People are not taken by surprise. Why can we be honest as a country? I will not state the name of the bank, but you may need to confirm with yours before making any plans. With such sudden changes, how do people go about their business? And others were also responding as well. Again, there's someone who said, is that a question? What's your name? What vape? Is this our oxygen one? And by the way, it's a ghost account. There is quite a number of ghost accounts that has been dropped online. And let me make this clear. Okay, I want to say, because I've got love and I understand principles. It starts by you just creating a ghost account that something's wrong mentally. I can only imagine communicating like someone that I'm not, that sickens me out. How are you guys doing it? We have a lot of ghost accounts. Now we don't know whom are you talking to. If you're John, be John. If you're Peter, be Peter. If you're Lorraine, you're Lorraine. Stop creating many ghost accounts and just lie and gaslighting on people. It's wrong, man. This country needs to be fixed, but it can only be fixed on a platform of truth. If we are cutting corners, nothing will work. And honestly, Zimbabweans are coming together in numbers. Don't be a hurdle. And don't be a blocker of truth. We want to fix this country. It cannot be fixed on the platform of truth. So any person who is playing the part of dropping all these ghost accounts and be lying to people, you need to stop. This kind of politics will not succeed, not again. We are sick and tired. Toxic politics will not work, not for this generation. This generation is yes or no, it's right or wrong. If you think you can manipulate your way to the top, forget it. Not again. Not again. People are tired. We have walked through this path and we've seen how painful it is. So what I'm trying to say is lies will not work. They will not work. And then Wakura Warrior Jonah, he also said there are elements in ZANU-PF, in ZANU-PF and opposition who don't want dialogue between us on Chamisa and President Emmerson Mnangagwa for all electoral reforms and the stability of the economy. You wonder what they stand to benefit. The GNU saved the people from drought. What will now? What will now? That's the question that is asking. Again, hardliners, we have a tendency of blocking conversations. Guys, if we truly want to fix Zimbabwe, we need to have a conversation. Like we don't have to be friends, okay? Don't forget, this is like a business. When you run a business, it's not about being friends. It's about doing the right thing. This country can only function on the platform of love if we come together and make sure that we sort it out. Other people can help us. As a matter of fact, some people have been capitalizing on our division. I will come back and talk about how ANC is benefiting from our suffering. That again, Edith Cross dropped and said ANC is struggling, they do not want that Zimbabwe has an opposition party because that will trigger South Africa as well to push for a different president. They want to keep themselves in power. Again, South Africans should do everything in their power to remove these people because they're dangerous. They're dangerous. But I'll come back because we need to really talk about that. People are capitalizing on our division and on our suffering. And in Zimbabwe, we need to start stepping up and make sure that we counter that and do the right thing. Sometimes change is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. We need to come together. We don't have to be friends, but we must come together for the sake of building our country. Because we, the Zimbabweans, we are the ones who tend to benefit or tend to suffer. So please, let's come together and be one people. So for those that are blocking conversations, you need to stop. We need to talk. Conversations are important. And then Tonio, he's the founder of TechMag, TechMag TV. He also said, what I want to hear from both fiscal and monetary authorities is their assurance that all government department, tax collection, ZIMRA duty, and fuel sales stations, etc., will start taking ZIG currency. Anything else that does not speak to this confidence must make all Zimbabweans to lose confidence. In fact, it becomes a scam, which I agree million times. Right? If people can't buy fuel with ZIG, if people can't, you can pay ZIMRA with ZIG. Okay, by the way, there are passports that are coming soon. Of course, because we're in South Africa, so definitely we'll be paying rands. But what I'm saying is, passport office must also be taking ZIG. If the passport office is going to be taking US dollars, then who is going to have confidence in that money anyway? No one will, right? No one will. And it's right. Because immediately Ngodizashi responded and said, spot on, in fact, that will create strong demand for the USD to keep ZIG alive. Sadly, recent events have shown Mr. Government reluctance to do that. If I had my way, that's what I would do without delay. It's important. Dyson, he said, it's easy. Yesterday, he said companies will now be mandated to pay 50% of their tax obligations in ZIG. So I'm sure he was very confident and also adamant to the fact that he's going to make sure his eyes are open and that people abide to the rules. You do the right thing or you are. There'll be fines. I'm sure there'll be fines. There will be fines. We're watching and we are following very closely. Very, very closely. And Fazemari said, respectively, the rollout of ZIG currency has been incredibly clumsy. The confidence and reasonableness issues aside, why not give citizens notice? Every payment platform is down. One can't buy Zesa. Why not? I don't know, maybe she didn't have electricity. Why not just okay, all right. That's why I said honestly I want NC to go, because these people, you can see the similarities of load shedding and corruption. Oh boy, don't even get there. Don't even try. Heavy corruption. Ivan Maorire. Oh yeah, shout out to Ivan Maorire. Ish, you remember? Do you guys remember the Ivan Maorire's movement? You remember? Oh boy, that movement was so strong. That's what we need to fix this country. Those strong movements. Yeah, that was an incredible one. He said, unbelievable. The robbery begins again as Zimbabwe introduces yet another new currency. Every 4 to 5 years, a new currency is introduced to wash away the failures of the last. The new one has a QR code. You also saw that it has a QR code, right? What is even that? In 2008, the currency inflated till we had a $200 trillion note, you recall? That was not enough to buy a loaf of bread. The two new currencies after that failed dismally again. Today, they have announced a new currency backed by nothing because of gold produced in Zimbabwe is not in the nation's vault, but in their personal safes. With each new currency, Zimbabwe's bank accounts are eroded to nothing as the mafia political elites rake in the takings through arbitrate and also hoarding and writing off bank loans to be paid off by the tax dollars. 8 years ago, we protested a new currency and said it would destroy people's lives, and it's exactly what happened. The burden of this deep injustice is borne by the hardworking poor trying to feed their families. The youth lose their chance at life, and the old spend their senior years in misery and pain. What nation does this to its own people? Zimbabwe is run by horrible crooks. We have stolen everything from Zimbabweans. Health, education, and self-delivery infrastructure has collapsed severely multiple times, leaving a deeply traumatized society that no longer functions normally. Zimbabwe, a once thriving and beautiful country, has been reduced to a shame, ridicule, and mockery. We are a heap of rubble and ruins that makes no sense. Something must give. We have to find a way to break this tyrannical and despotic group of criminals. They just can't keep doing this nonsense. Oh, that was deep. Really, really deep from Ivan Maorire. Quite very, extremely deep. And let me say this, like, I also believe that life is very spiritual. Life is spiritual, y'all. People don't get that. This is why the spiritual world is very powerful. And I do remember one of my brother who actually confirmed that majority of people in ZANU-PF, because that was me, it was my brother said to me, they always, 8 a.m. will actually, the sun will rise when they've been kumasangoma, kuma fake prophets. People are seeking peace. But let me tell you where peace lies. In principles. You sow good, you reap good. You sow evil, you reap evil. It's a principle. I don't know how people can sow evil and expect to be reaping good. You are mistreating someone, but you think good is going to happen to you. It does not work like that. Sirs, ma'ams, brothers and sisters, it doesn't. It does not work. It doesn't work like that. I'm telling you, it doesn't. And then Kasukure said, a switch over that should typically take a few minutes can take hours, if not days. Grounding the whole economy, because we are Zimbabwe anyway, not proud of this. We do everything because we are Zimbabweans, which is wrong. And Dr. Walter Muzembes, well, he said, cognitive dissonance versus zero sum. He said, I've served as a public before, in fact, for a total of 15 years. As a result, understanding how government works, I try and give each policy prescription, even as it is announced by officialdom, which I have a complicated relationship with. A chance is an antidote to our people are suffering. I do it only for the people. So my criticism is one which nudges the system on while pointing out pitfalls and policy shortcomings. Sorry, who can do it better than an ex-official or former something? I know the ins and out, know what is practical and impossible, and probably see you much better outside the boat or in the code, as some derivative constituencies often say. This is a choice I made as opposed to being a zero-sum purchased because I know how long this game can take. Meanwhile, the grass suffers. Our people suffers. So in the end, it looks like many of us suffer from cognitive dissonance. It's because our backgrounds and journeys are different. Expressed in vernacular, it goes something like this. Daindiri nintaita so versus budai tipinde amufi makazigona. All right, he's saying something very interesting here. Daindiri nintaita so versus budai tipinde amufi makazigona. Okay, so there's so from my own understanding, it's like there are two factions here. Maybe there's some people saying we should be the ones, and maybe there's also budai tipinde, maybe it's referring to opposition. I'm just gonna read further. He said ED inherited. Oh, okay, no, I get it. Okay, I get it. So ED inherited a Mugabe bureaucracy which has hardly changed except for reshuffles. The political team has changed, especially cabinet. They are new and inexperienced. The bureaucracy protects them viciously. But it is the same bureaucracy that saved the critics saw the fun which often spills into the public domain starts, often released by long-standing opposition activism. The answer to this is official think tanking. So criticism or advice is structured and confined to recognized think tanks. Such as an example, Washington has 400 think tankers in different specialties, which are part of its power matrix and publicly funded. A bureaucracy, no matter how efficient, can never substitute the experience, intellect, and purpose of think tankers, which should be the hubs of critical minds and alternative thinking. It's high time we moved with the same. It's high time we moved with the times and make critical thinking official, not an enemy of the state. Food for thought. And I agree. Let me just tell you, someone posted something yesterday on X again. It was a list of countries, African countries, and they were writing which country that speaks English better, And there was no Zimbabwe there. The whole list, there was no Zimbabwe. And this is what actually happened. And one of my brother went there and commented and said, this doesn't make sense because Zimbabwe could have been there. And I went and I was like, no, that's not correct. If I take my child and leave them in Zimbabwe right now, I will come back and they won't even be speaking better English. Let me explain to you. Because we have always been we respected our culture, fair play. Other kids are good in English because they go to very expensive schools. It's a fact. But for those that are in the rural areas, the majority don't even know how to speak English. They may be good in writing, and the Zimbabweans are exceptionally good in writing. But speaking, you know why I'm very much fluent in my speaking? Because I did not like my English teacher. He was so serious. So I can't function when someone is too serious. I want a person who laughs. I would do better. So all the teachers were my buddies, because I was very talkative. So the way my buddies, they loved me. Especially the maths teacher, and I was doing extremely well in maths, very good in maths, very calculative. But English, I did not like the teacher, and I was so shocked. How did I came out with a D? That was the only subject that I failed when I wrote my O level. I came out with a D and I repeated. I thought I was going to come out with a U because it was really bad. I'm telling you, Kuti, we need to be honest with one another. Zimbabweans, we are daily losing our own flavor. If you go to South Africans right now, they speak fluent English. Oh yeah, good English. I'm telling you facts. Most of Zimbabweans can actually attest to this, that if you don't really speak with your child Shona at home, they may be struggling to actually understand Shona. Why? Because other countries have evolved. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with us speaking our Shona. It's incredible. Our kids need to know their vernacular languages. Amazing, because they have to talk to our grandparents. But at the end of the day, they need a language. The world is evolving. They need to have both. Vernacular language or local languages and also English languages. Very important. I'm talking speaking. Writing is great, but speaking is also greater. We don't want to have a conversation. But imagine if people in the rural areas are all having access to cartoons, the kids, you know. I mean, developed countries, yes, people have access to that information. Kids can learn at the same time. We need to start, really evolving and start with our minds. How can we fix our country and making it that country can be great again? Zimbabwe has always been great. I remember our people used to speak great English because we're mixed with white people. But it's different now. Very few kids are, majority are not, because they're not exposed that much. We need to start thinking and say, it's not about me, it's about us as a collective. It's us building a country that works for everybody. A country that makes our people be competitive. My heart was broken talking to my sister recently. I was watching another, she's a model, a Zimbabwean model. She was having a meeting, an interview actually with NRTV. And she said when she went to meet other girls, and she was actually now competing, I think, for Miss Universe, if I'm not mistaken. She was shocked that people were even meditating. And my heart was broken. I'm like to my sister, damn, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I thought I meditate for 30 minutes. I'm like, I need to realign my minds. It's chaos everywhere. But she didn't know what meditation is. Why? Because we are so behind. And this can't carry on. We need to curb this as fast as we can. Our people can't remain a joke because by day, we are losing. By day, by day. And something has to give. I agree with, Dr. Water. Something really has to give for us to fix our country. Zimbabwe is our country, guys. Brothers and sisters, let's come together and make sure we do it well. We will support the Reserve Bank governor. We'll support him. Because remember, I believe that give a person a chance. Give him a chance. Let's see where he's going with this. Since he promised you that I'm going to be let's give him a chance. Support him while we watch. But if we see that we are going absolutely nowhere, we are going to say, sir, we are going absolutely nowhere. We need a conversation. That's all I have for you tonight. I think we took a longer time, but it's very important. Oh, by the way, Constantino Chiwenga, the VP, he was calling out men. He said, he's called out men that men need to be exemplary to their families and take responsibility for the welfare and needs of their children. And that message, met with a lot of backlash. People said, no, you ruined us. You can't expect us to take care of families. You guys have ruined our destinies. Men were right. Like I told you, men are no longer the same. I understand. I do understand. I can only imagine if I was a man and I'm supposed to take care of my family and I'm facing all this resistance, abused all the time. No, it destroys people. So I really feel for men and I really pray for men. Y'all pray for your husbands, pray for your brothers, pray for your uncles. Men need our prayers. They really need our prayers because this government has ruined men. They really did. Whether we like it or not, they really ruined men. That's why marriages are collapsing today. It's not because men are bad, no. They want to be married, but the pressure is too much. It's too much. And let's pray for men. And trust me, if you're a man here, I'm praying for you. I believe in you. And trust me, together we can. You'll be fine. May God bless you, and may God bless Zimbabwe. Bye for now.